So today I'm going to show you how to make a spring scarf using fabric that you buy in a store. And the advantage to this, of course, is that you can get some exactly what you want, and you can maybe get a better quality of fabric than what is available normally in these scarves that they have in the store. I've noticed lately that they're more and more flimsy and thin. And of course, you know, the bigger the space between the threads, the less yarn they use, the cheaper it is to make. And of course, it will snag very easily as well. So what I'm going to show you a few things. I'm working on something here, so you'll see me do this. What I'm going to show you how to do, I'm going to show you how to do a rolled hem. And a rolled hem is what you see on better scarves. This is an Hermes scarf, and Hermes is kind of funny because they roll the hem onto the wrong side. So this is the wrong side, but they roll it in to the right side. Of course, these people are professional, and this is all they do. So you can see how immaculate, you know, how immaculately this is done. And there was a little purple border in there, and they just came in to the center, just came in, I mean, to the edge of that purple. And this is kind of a funny, this scarf is kind of interesting. This is a Ferragamo scarf. This is also a rolled edge, but this has been rolled to the inside. This is the wrong side. And when you get these really nice scarves, I mean, they're so well printed that you really don't see a whole lot of difference from one side to the other. Of course, it is noticeable. And so this is a rolled hem. And what's kind of funny about this scarf is Ferragamo, just as an aside, Ferragamo is a shoe manufacturer. And these are all shoes, and they've got the date on them. And they're just like what you're seeing now. This is 1945 to 1947. This is 1940. I mean, you're actually seeing these shoes now. You know, the platforms, 1935, 1936. So it's kind of a fun. This one is what? 1955, but I mean, so anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you that print. It's kind of an interesting print. Okay, now, if you don't want to do a rolled hem, let me start with now this, for example, now this scarf here is just, I bought this, but this is just a piece of fabric that where they evened off the threads. I don't know whether it's the warp or the weft. One's called warp and one's called weft in rugs. I think it's the same thing with fabric. So what they've done here is they just left this like a natural fringe. And I'm going to show you how to do that. That's very simple. Now, when you go into the store, I believe what this fabric is called is cotton lawn, L-A-W-N. Just like, you know, in the front yard, cotton lawn. And it has a nice density to it, and yet it will come up very close, and you can really, you know, it has a nice hand. The hand of a fabric is how it feels sort of in your hand, how it behaves. And you don't want something any heavier than this because it would be kind of hard to get it around your neck. You want something supple. These scarves I just showed you, these ones, this is called silk twill. Both of these are silk twill. And how do I know it's called twill? Well, when you look at it closely, you probably can't see this, but you'll see little tiny ridges on a diagonal. And actually denim, oh, there we go. There it is. My darling Christina's done it again. There you can see it right in there. And denim is twill, and there's wool twill, and it's a very strong weave. But so because it's silk, it is soft. This, now again, for example, I was just talking about a little while ago, some of these flimsier scarves that, this is a Cynthia Rowley. It's not, you know, it's not just something I picked up at a flea market, but you can see how loose that is. And, you know, yes, that means you can, you know, kind of squish it around and tie it and make it, you know, bring it in. But it is also very easy to snag this. And as a matter of fact, I'll show you here. It might be at the other end. Yeah, see, so this is what's happened. I mean, I've worn this a number of times. So you see, you get these pulls. And so what happens is this is printed. So when you see like the white here over this blue, that white was supposed to have been somewhere. And as a matter of fact, there's the thread right there. And so one of these threads up here, and right here you see, for example, if I were to pull this, see that's, will come right out, and there's the dye on it. Oh, good, very good, perfect shot. So this one's kind of been around, but anyway, let me show you. Okay, let me show you this handkerchief. This is this work isn't done very much anymore. This is all as you saw me pull that thread. This is all pulled threads, and I mean it's unbelievable, but I think this is all hand done. It's pulled by hand, and then they go in, and it just seems unbelievable to me. They go in with a little tiny needle, and they go in and they pick up those threads, and they wrap them and get them to make like that little window pane effect. It's just amazing. I mean, if you've ever been into the museum and seen some of these tapestries that were done, you know, by these women years ago, and these were done around the turn of the century. Not everybody had TVs. They didn't have, you know, they might not have even had a radio, and so this is what women did. And again, this is also a rolled hem. So let me show you. Okay, this is what I have here. This is polyester chiffon, and I started out doing it in a different way. I started out this way, just kind of making an ordinary hem. You have to bear with me because it's such a big piece, and the way the colors are. So I just did this like an ordinary hem, but I wasn't really that thrilled with it. And it doesn't look that bad on the back. And with the scarf being so big, probably these hems will not be noticed anyway. But it isn't too bad. I was able to get, you know, the right color of thread. And this was the selvage. And of course, as you know, the selvage, well, here's a, let's see. No, this doesn't have, let's see. No, that doesn't either. Ah, here we go. Here's a selvage. This is called the selvage edge. And this is satin silk, very slippery and soft, but dense. You know, you can't see through it. And that's the selvage edge. And I guess as they're making it, that it's been attached. You see those little holes. Oh, perfect. Those little holes, I guess, were attached to something as it ran through to get colored. And by the way, I must say, I apologize for the condition of my cuticles, but that's, between the knitting and the sewing and the winter, I'm just kind of all torn up. So apologies for that. I either not do the show or, you know, not worry about the, so, oh, here's something to, now, this was a selvage edge, but it had a little bit of this on it here, a little bit of this threads coming out. So what I'm going to do with that, when the time comes, if I want to fix that, I'm just going to push it right up in there, and I'll take another couple of stitches. And again, you know, probably nobody will see it, but I'll just push it right up in there, and I'll put a few stitches in there. So then I said to myself, you know, I really want to do a rolled hem. So I went over here to this part, and this is not, this fabric really isn't easy to work with. I wouldn't suggest if you're doing this, you know, the very first time that you work with this, because it's kind of a little bit slippery. The cotton lawn has like a little bit of a texture to it. It kind of, you have some drag on the fabric. So when you go to roll it, it'll kind of stay. But this was a little bit, so this is a rolled hem. And what you see on the back is just, let's see if I can hold this. You just see these little tiny stitches. Christine's going to come in. See them? Oh, very good. See, those are little tiny stitches, and if I turn this over, this is all rolled under. And so I'm going to start, I'll show you that. So I went down here, I had to change my, so this is all, now here actually, I probably shouldn't have, I don't know what I was thinking of with it. Well, the color of this thread is wrong there, but, so I'm going to move to here, and this is where I had finished up here. So you'll see how I hold it. So now, well, I'll show you that later. When you start at the beginning of the piece, when you're right at the very beginning, you want to stabilize this as you go, because I'll show you later, because if you don't, as you roll this, it's going to get a little bit at an angle, and you're going to get back down to the end. It's not going to be square. So you've got to stabilize it as you go along with pins, which I forgot to bring my straight pins, but I've got a paper clip to do the trick. So you just merely roll it, and you go in here. You're going into the tube, you're coming up, and then I'm going to steady myself, go under here, excuse me, under here to catch it, and then again, roll again. And sometimes you need to moisten your fingers. Now you want to be sure your hands are clean though, because do all this and then have it be, get dirty. I mean, you can wash polyester, of course, but still, you do want to keep your hands clean. And then I'm going to go right underneath there, right up. Oh, Christina, you are amazing. And then here, I'm going to go right down here. Okay. And then you may say to yourself, well, my God, how can I possibly, it must take forever. Well, once you get a little bit good at this, it doesn't take that long. I find it very relaxing. And the point is that you can get exactly, you can find the fabric exactly what you want to go with whatever the dress or the coat. And in here, underneath. Now you may want to hold your work a little differently than I do. Now I'm going to come down to the corner here, so we'll look at that. So I'm going to roll this, roll. Now sometimes what happens is and I'm not saying this is easy to do. I mean, it took me a while to even get this good. But sometimes when you go to make that stitch, you might make it a little bit off, and then I'm going to show you where further back here I had a little trouble. But you can always go back and kind of, so right under there. Now there's another way to do this, which is a completely different method, which I didn't care for. I didn't like it, so I tried to master this. And under here. Okay, I need a little bit more moisture. Okay. Ooh. Come under. Oh, wait a minute, hang on, I almost lost my, oh boy, the thread almost came. And I have pre-threaded the needles I'm going to use. I mean, this one was already on the floor. Under here. And below. See, I don't have much to hold on to. It's getting a little, oops, getting a little tricky here. And so, if you decide that this is something you want to try, well, don't buy a real expensive piece of fabric. You don't need to get something this big. Or, just go in the store. If something you think you'd really like to learn how to do, just go in the store. They have remnants. that they sell at, you know, like a fraction of the regular yardage price, you know, and just practice before you, okay, and now in here, okay, now I'm gonna, now the other thing sometimes you need to do is hold it this way to get a little bit of tension, because I'm right at the end here, at the corner. Okay, okay. Now I'm going to have to see if I can tuck this under so this doesn't, okay, let's see if we can get that to square it off. Let's see, like this. Okay, underneath. Okay. Now I'm just going to go down. I'm going to kind of tuck this under, and I'm just going to put my needle right through here and grab the other, grab the other end. Well, you would see what I would have done there. I mean, you know, this has come loose, and I don't want to take too much, but I have to rethread this. But you would come through here, and then you would just have this corner come down. You would just come back up under here with your threaded needle, and you'd hold it. Yeah, sorry, Christina. Okay, okay. So that's what. But if you know, so that is, and so there, you know, and I mean, I don't think that looks so bad, you know, for you know, an amateur doing this. Can you get this, Christina? Here, can you? So I mean, you know, I don't think that looks so bad. It's obviously it's not the kind of work that you see on these professional, but you know, and I don't know. It's something I get a lot of Oops. Oh well, we'll have to get that later. I get a lot of satisfaction out of making these things. Now, this is the okay. This silk can be torn, and you can see here it was torn. So I'm just going to go and take this, and I'm going to tear this down and show you that this just tears right down. And now you have your square edge. Now, then, to make the fringe, it's as simple as this. It's a little bit of a mess because these things, but you're just going to lift this out. And then you say, well, wait a minute, isn't this just going to keep unraveling and unraveling? Well, I suppose so. I don't think as a scarf you'd be giving this. It's not as if you're wearing this like clothing where it's going to, you know, fall apart. And that is what you saw over here. This is what you saw here in this cotton lawn. And so they pulled this down, or maybe it might have been made this way. I mean, you know, these scarves are not expensive. Some of them are not expensive, so they're not going to spend a lot of, you know, it's not going to be anything laborious to make these because they'd have to charge a lot more money. So now there you have a torn edge. However, over here, okay, now this was just cut off at the store. Now, speaking of stores, you can go to Joann Fabrics. I'm not that crazy about most of what they have, but I have found some things there I like. A really nice place is the Fabric Place Outlet in Natick. Fabric Place Outlet in Natick. Used to be in Framingham Center, and they had to move, and they have really much nicer. So here, let me just show this, for example. So again, if I want to straighten this, I would just, there we go, grab a thread and pull it, and you see that now where this is being pulled is all perfectly straight. That's your straight edge. So let me show you if I can find another one here. I think, you can see how that's gathering, and that gathered edge, sorry, is perfectly straight. So you can say, okay, well, I see where that is. So now, if I want to go with a scissor, and another thing that's surprising with this fabric, sometimes you don't think something is that crooked until you pull a thread and you see just how far off it is. So I would say, well, okay, I know I can cut down here. I'm just going to cut just above where this pulled thread was. And again, and this is again what happened here. These are pulled threads. So that's what we're doing here. Of course, this is a linen, a lightweight linen. It's much easier to grab the little threads. These are quite small, but I hope you're getting the idea of this, of what you would do. You would just go right across. Here's another place here. Let me pull this up here and bring this right along. And there, I think you can see pretty well. Sorry, it's right to left on this one. And you can see where that is your straight edge, right there where I've pulled it. Well, we're just going to take a few minutes. I just want to get something else ready for you to show you here, and we'll be right back. Okay, thanks for hanging in there, and we are back. Now, what I was telling you before that I like to, I mean, this looks crazy. You know what, let me take one of my needles and use this instead of the paper clip. I should have brought, let's see, this is, okay, there we go. You've got to, when you're making these hems, you have got to gradually, as you go along, stabilize a few inches ahead of where you are, because if you don't, so imagine that this was a straight pin. So you want to go in there and stabilize it. Now, of course, a straight pin would have a head on it and it wouldn't move, but because if you don't, as you roll this from this end, as you roll from this end, it will gradually kind of roll down and down and down, and when you get to the end, it's not going to be square anymore. So I've got okay. Now, this is not the greatest thread here that I'm using. On this chiffon, I used a polyester thread, but I happen to have this. I needed something dark to contrast. So when you put the knot in your thread, again, you might want to kind of moisten your fingertip. You just roll it like this, and then you roll this and pull it, and there is your little, looks like a little bug, little spider. There's your knot. And that's the way you do. I'll do it another one here. And there are also little devices for helping you to thread the needle. There are little different things you can buy. There's a funny little thing. Of course, they're probably from the 19th century. People still use them. But it's a little thin wire that you put through the eye of the needle, and it kind of opens up on the other side. And then you put your yarn through the open part, and you drag it back through. So again, if I'm going to put my knot in here, and I do this with the yarn too, I just go around, around, and then I just roll this and pull, and there's my little knot. So, okay, so I've got I'm going to put that there so it doesn't get, okay. So I'm going to start with this as if I were going to do the rolled hem on this. Now you say, well, what are you going to do with all that? Well, normally you would cut this off, but this scarf is made this way, so I'm going to just simply roll it in. I'm going to roll it a little further. Now, I wouldn't have to roll that far if I didn't have all that fringe, and normally you wouldn't, but so as long as you understand that you would clip that fringe, those little threads. And so I'm going to go in here to just secure it. And it's nice to get a little bit of, well, see here you don't really have anything to get tension, but you want to have a little tension in there to keep that roll in place. Okay, so this is another way you can hold it. I like to hold it this way. So now I'm going to go under as I did before, come right up. And you can see the black thread. And then I'm going to go into the tube. Now what I showed you before, that was a thinner fabric. You could actually see the needle underneath the fabric, but here you won't be able to do that because I've made a thicker roll for one thing, and this is a thicker fabric. This fabric is not translucent. And I'm going to go right underneath where I came out. Here we go. And under here, which is what allows you to move ahead down the edge of the scarf. Roll this, put the tension on it. Now, again, I mean, you know, you don't have, if you feel like this is too difficult, what I showed you at first is easier to do. So I'm going to come underneath, come up, right there, and then bring this under here. So this long stitch they can't see from the other side, from the right side. And we'll do this last one here. And so here, so now, of course, imagine this should be pink thread, but you can see they're just the tiniest little stitches. Oh, good, perfect. See, there they are, just the tiniest little stitches, and with matching thread, you wouldn't see them at all. Now, if you think this is just too hard to do, you can just do a hem like this. It's more visible, but not necessarily from the outside. So let me get my roll here. Okay, there we are. So, I mean, what of course you can do is to simply go underneath. Oh. Oops, thread's a little long. And you can, I mean, if you feel like you just want to go like this and make an ordinary hem, but it will be more visible. It'll be more visible on the wrong side and not look quite as nice, but you can still make a very tiny, tiny stitch. And of course, you have to remember, I'm just using this black thread so you can see it. So you'd end up with that. And, you know, again, you'd have your, you know, you can make a very, very small stitch on the back. But, you know, so I'm trying to think if there's anything. Let me see. I've got just a couple of minutes. I showed you one other thing here I wanted to show. For example, now this scarf here that was manufactured, like for example, even these ones. Now, see how this is straight? This is a straight edge here. But if you're working with fabric, you see here what happened here. So if you want to straighten that, I don't know if I gave you a good, you could see it too easily on the other. You just grab that little thread and you take it out, take it right out, and that will straighten your edge. And I think I've got one more here. And you know, it's close work. I'll grant you that. It's maybe not everybody's cup of tea. And there we go. There it goes, right straight through. And so now I've got, and that is my, and I've still got some here that aren't quite straight. There's one here. I'm going to take that through. And that's how you straighten the edge of your fabric. And of course, these are the pulled threads that I showed you. So I hope that you enjoyed watching this. I hope you'll take a risk and see about making yourself a spring scarf and getting the scarf that you exactly want, not just what you have to buy in the store. So thank you for watching. I'm Anne Marie Battistone. My camera person is Christina Gleason, and you've been watching Norfolk Public Access.